Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. I don't know if you know this, but you're in the basement showroom of the historic Village Gate, which was a big venue upstairs and down here that I used to do comedy in when I was a child. Why am I bringing this up? Because some part of me wants to glean some meaning out of that. That I was upstairs, they used to have a show. Oh, I know what I could do. There was a Bill Hicks story. I didn't prepare. Did you want me to prepare? Upstairs, back in the late 80s, they had a show. The guy who, the Village Gate, they used to do all the old jazz shows, and it was like a historic place. But by the late 80s, early 90s, it was kind of decrepit, but cool. And they had a show up there, seated about 400 people. And on weekends, they do a comedy show there. And the structure of the show was they had a host, and then they had two comics doing 15 minutes apiece, and an improv group. Now, there's a story about Bill Hicks. So there was briefly a time where Bill Hicks lived in New York City. He wasn't received well because New Yorkers don't understand anger. Like, they understand it, but they don't understand why it's on stage. It was so amazing to watch Bill perform in New York, because literally the audience would be like, what's he so mad about? You know, he seems angry about something. Isn't life hard enough? But I remember the night because the comics were me and Hicks, and it didn't matter. It was interchangeable, but he'd already done a few Lettermans, and he was Hicks, so even if he did badly, there was going to need to be some reconstruction, audience-wise, you know? So I remember I walked up to him. I'm like, "Hey, Bill, you got the Lettermans and stuff. I'm just starting out. Could I go first? Because he was supposed to go first." And he's like, "No, man, I gotta meet a guy to play chess." And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. But it seems important. So I'm like, "All right, well, I guess I'll just follow you then." And then I remember going to the bathroom. This was upstairs. So I go to the bathroom, and he went on stage. I go to the bathroom. I don't know what happened while I was in the bathroom. But when I got out of the bathroom, there was 400 people in this room, and nobody's laughing, no one's saying anything. There's a silence in the room of 400 that has a suction to it. It's like, oh my God, there's actually sound being sucked out of the room by an audience that is in shock because Bill Hicks is at the lip of the stage, screaming at a woman like right where you are. And he's going, "I'm a fucking poet! I'm a fucking poet!" And he stands up, and there's nothing but silence. And I'm standing there like, what is happening? And then in the sweetest voice, this woman goes, "Tell us a poem then." So what's happening? What do you want to talk about? You want to do the act, or I don't know. Let's not. Let's just work through some stuff. I had a weird thing happen. Like, there was something to be said about doing a lot of drugs at some point in your life. I personally don't have a lot of respect for people that don't have the courage to lose complete control of their life for a few years. Right down the fucking hole. Like, what happened? I don't know. I know it's time I'm not getting back. I'd like to think I did some good writing, but there's no real evidence of it. That's random pieces of paper and something I half finished, but I was in it, But there is something to be learned from drug experiences, especially if you go out there, right, bro? Yeah. So, well, the point is, I went and ate this Chinese food the other night, and it seems disconnected. But I went to this Chinese restaurant in San Francisco, and there was like, I'm not a big Chinese food guy, but this was like this, kind of nouveau, cool Chinese place. And I ate pastrami kung pao. That's crazy, right? It's just chunks of fatty meat with, salt and more salted things. And then there was the I think it was just called lamb fat curry, which was just lamb fat and curry and some other vegetables. And then there was these tiki pork bellies. I'm not sure when it became okay to eat that shit, but I mean, because it's not even baked. I think, then they used to throw that part away, pork belly, but now it's like, this is great. So there were these two pieces of pork belly that were just, I don't even know if they were deep fried or what. They were chopsticks, and they were squares, and there was no way to eat them other than pick them up and just bite them, and they were just sort of warm, gelled fat with crispy outsides. The point I'm making is, I ate all this shit. And I got in the car with my friend Jack, and I'm sitting there, and my hand went numb. Like literally 20 minutes after I ate that, I'm like, my hand's tingling, I can't feel it. But because of my drug experience, I'm like, I'm just gonna ride it out. You know what I mean? It's probably gonna go away if it doesn't. Like, maybe my whole right side will go numb, and I'll be talking like this. But right now, we'll see what happens. And I wouldn't have had that wisdom without years of laying in bed on coke, going, please, not now, not now. Let's ride this out. I am still alive. That's amazing. It's all amazing. I'm happy to say that I'm having a reasonable midlife crisis. You know, I buy records and I bought a tube amp. I'm not going to drive it into a wall. You know, I'm not going to get in trouble for fucking it. But it was weird. What sort of inspired it is I had these records, and there weren't even that many records. There's about 300 records that I had, and I had them since high school. I don't know. I mean, I'm 49, so like when you go through the records that you stop buying them at some point, right around when CDs came out. I don't even know when that was, in the late 80s maybe. But you can go through your whole life with these records that you have. Like I could see, like, okay, I was trying to, you know, relate to the townies I grew up with. Here's us, some Skinner, some Bad Company, had to do that. And then at some point, you know, like, oh, that's where I met the guy in college. All right, so then all of a sudden, like, there's a lot of Bowie and some Eno and some Fripp. And then there's like, oh, there's college, there's OMD, and I was a little confused. And I go through a little gray area there with who you were. And then you sort of move into jazz and other stuff. But I got this tube amp. The story of the tube amp is essentially, you know, tube amp is what you play records to if you want it to be pure. You know, pure tube sound. Just like from the record to the speaker, no fucking with it. So I interviewed Jack White. I'm not dropping names, it happened. So I interviewed Jack White. And I go down to his place, right? And in his studio office, he's got a wall of Macintosh tube amps. All right, these are the best, American-made, beautiful, right? And I've always been fascinated with them. And I'm like, he's got like 15 of them. So in my mind, I'm like, if he's got 15, I could afford one, right? So I get back to LA and I immediately go price Macintosh amps. I go into one place and I'm like, that's the one I want. I said, Jack White has those, man. How much is that one? The guy goes, $14,000. And look, I could have put it on my credit card, but look, but the truth of the matter is, if you don't have $14,000 to comfortably throw away on a fucking tube amp, there's no way you're gonna enjoy music through that thing. If I would have bought that thing, every record I put on, I'd be sitting there going, nah, this doesn't sound like $14,000. Maybe I'd move this knob. No, it still doesn't sound like $14,000. And then eventually he'd go over to some other guy's house and he just had a cheap setup and he'd listen to the same record and it'd sound perfect. And he'd just sit there going, I'm a fucking idiot. So I found a more reasonably priced tube amp. And then I decided, now that I'm back into records, this has been hanging over me since high school. I'm like, I've got to understand Beefheart. Now, like,